Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2022 Nissan Rogue Sport, we're going to be showing you how to install the CURT Trailer Hitch receiver. But before we do that, I'm going to check this out and make sure it's going to work for you. When it comes to the Rogue Sport, it's a sporty SUV, and so you get a lot of people out here doing a lot of different stuff with them, whether it be pulling some smaller trailers around or using accessories like bike racks or cargo carriers. So if it were me, I would want a hitch that would allow me to do all those different types of things, right? And this one will do just that. I'd also think about how it's going to look. You know, the cleaner the better, right? Less noticeable, it'll look more factory. And this one, honestly, when it comes to the appearance, this one is my second favorite. I like how it sits and everything. The only thing you'll be able to see is a receiver tube opening. And the one I like a little bit better is the eTrailer one. It has like a matte black finish and matches the bumper a little bit, but that's just my opinion. This one has a gloss finish, and maybe if you had, I was thinking if you had a gloss black car, this type one might match a little bit better. Or, whatever the case may be, whatever you like, there's an option for you. With this being a Class 3 hitch, it is going to have the 2" by 2" receiver tube opening. That's a really common size. A lot of different things will work with it. It is going to use the standard 5/8 pin and clip. Keep in mind though, pin and clip doesn't come with the hitch. If you need one, not a huge deal. You can always grab it here at eTrailer. And it is going to have loop style safety chain openings that are big enough to allow us to use just about any size hook that our trailer might have. Now we'll go ahead and just take a couple of measurements. That way we could try to figure out what hitch mounted accessories will work best. If you go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, that's going to be about 14 inches. So if you do plan on pulling a trailer around, chances are pretty good you can use a ball mount that has a straight shank or one that has a rise in it. If you go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of your rear bumper, that's going to be about 5 inches. And you can use that measurement to figure out exactly if those folding type accessories can be stored in that upright position without hitting the back of your Nissan. Other than that though, at the end of the day, a hitch you really can't go wrong with. As far as getting it installed goes, it's really not too bad. So if you'd like to see how that's done, feel free to follow along. We'll go ahead and put it on together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be underneath the back of our Rogue, and right off the bat, we're going to be working over here on the passenger side, right in this area. We're going to have to get to an emissions canister, pull a couple screws out, lower it down, and that'll give us some more room to work. If you look up right here, this is that emissions canister. So there's going to be a bracket. You're going to have a 10mm nut. And pull this off. And then there will be another nut right here in this area. It's going to be really hard to see, but if you kind of bend down on your heat shield, you can actually feel it pretty easily. And so I'm going to use a regular box wrench here to get that nut removed, and I believe that's all that's holding this on. So there's the nut, and then kind of just pull this down, and we're just going to kind of push it over here like this. So there's that other bracket where the nut was. We'll just kind of let this hang here, that way it'll give us some extra space to work. Now if you look, we can get our tow hook here removed. So it's going to be held in place with 6 18mm head bolts. So you got 3 on the bottom and then 3 just like it on the side here. So go ahead, grab our socket and an extension and get all these removed. Once you get that final one out of there, it should drop down and we can set it off to the side. Now if we move over here to the driver's side, we're gonna have a hole that we need to enlarge a little bit. That way we can get some of our hardware into the frame. And so this is a hole that you want to open up. And you want to do this just large enough, that way we can get our spacer block and our carriage bolt up inside of there. So you can use a few different things. I like to use a grinder bit like this. You could probably use a step style drill bit. Whatever you got, really. I'm sure you could use a hand file too. It'd probably take you some time though, and you'd have to be patient to open this up big enough. But regardless, we need to get it bigger. That way we can get the hardware in. Got that hole enlarged, and like I said, just big enough to allow us to get the head of our carriage bolt in there, as well as the spacer block, so we're good there. Since we did expose some bare metal, I do suggest just taking some spray paint and just putting a layer on it to help prevent any rust or corrosion in the future. So we'll give that a few minutes to dry, and come back and move on to the next step. With the paint dry, now we can get our hardware in. So we're gonna have 2 holes here, this one and this one. And what you wanna do is take your Fishwire, it's coiled end of it, and push it up towards the access hole. And we're trying to get that to drop down through. Sometimes it's kind of tricky to get out. If you're having trouble, what I've done in the past is line it up and put a bend in it, and that'll usually help make it a little easier. Like that. And then you're just gonna take the carriage bolt and spacer block and thread that on. And feed the hardware up into place. Drop it down. And we're gonna do the same exact thing here for this attachment point. The other attachment point that you're going to use over here on the driver's side will be this threaded weld nut. And so it's not a bad idea to spray these out with some penetrating oil and take a toothbrush, kind of clean out the threads. But over here you're going to use a bolt and a conical tooth washer. Make sure the teeth on the washer are going to face up towards the hitch. So when we're holding the hitch up, you'll simply just thread this right in. Over on the passenger side, we're going to have 3 attachment points. And these are all going to be the weld nuts, and we're just going to use the same hardware that we took off earlier that was originally holding on our tow hook. So that's what we're going to do over here. So now with the next set of hands, you can take our hitch and get it into position. Over here where the fish wires are, you want to make sure to put them through the appropriate holes in the hitch there. Then kind of go up and over that exhaust pipe. Kind of sit up. And make sure to kind of tilt the hitch so it goes over that exhaust hanger there. And then we want to take our bolt and conical tooth washer, and we want to get at least 1 bolt started on each side hand tight. That way the hitch will support itself while we work on the rest of the hardware. For our carriage bolts, what you can do is pull off that fish wire and then take a flange nut and start these. And once we end up getting these all hand tight, we'll be able to snug them down and torque them. All of these are going to be, use rather, a 3/4 inch socket. So we can come back now with a torque wrench and tighten down all of the hardware to the amount specified in the instructions. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can always get one here at eTrailer, or a lot of times if you go to your local auto parts store, they'll have one there available to rent, usually for free. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the CURT Trailer Hitch receiver here on our 2022 Nissan Rogue Sport.